All right, hey, what's up everybody? Landon with LMR.com. In this video, we're gonna be checking out this 5.0 Resto Headlight relay harness designed to be plug and play for the 1987 to 1993 Fox body Mustangs. Kind of one of the many nuances for that particular year range was the slight overload on the headlight circuit. And over time, what can happen, and many of you have probably repaired this at some point with your Fox body or someone's car in general, is the headlight switch connector that plugs into the back of the headlight switch itself that's situated on the instrument cluster surround inside of the car can become damaged. Due to the amp draw, the connector itself can melt, and then that can cause damage to the surrounding area, be it wires in that general area or to the connector itself. It's a relatively easy fix. You know, we've sold the connector forever. You cut the old one off, you put the new one on. Worst case scenario, you have to put a new switch in the car as well. You keep on rocking and hope that it doesn't happen again. Well, I'm here to tell you today, you no longer have to worry about that. This is going to prevent that from happening in the future, as long as you know, your car has a properly functioning electrical system and you don't have any other maybe hidden damages within some of these circuits. But the 5.0 Resto headlight relay harness is now going to shift the load of that circuit to two relays. You'll have a relay for the low beam, you'll have a relay for the high beam. This harness is plug and play. Everything is loomed correctly. You have heat shrink on your ring terminals. It's all there. So here's the sales pitch. I think everybody should have this particular harness. Regardless if you have a sorted car that you haven't touched in who knows how long, or you're in the middle of your project, be it mild restoration, heavy restoration, or you're just fixing the car to make it drivable. Every single 87 and 93 car needs this 5.0 Resto headlight relay harness. And on top of that, think of other items you're going to need to accompany this harness. Your bulb sockets, be it the park light or the side marker, commonly cruddy, especially on this 1990 GT. I ended up replacing the ones on this car. And due to the design of the headlight harness, you may have to replace the driver side headlight socket. Commonly, those tabs will get broken off and it won't properly engage onto the female side of the connector. Passenger side won't need that because it's going to get wrapped, taped, and positioned out of the way. But there is just something about clean electrical harnesses and sockets, terminals, etc. So just go ahead and replace those sockets as well if you need them. It's kind of one of those feel-good deals. They're not very expensive and they install in little to no time at all. All right, so speaking of that amp draw, we'll flash up a little graphic here on the screen. That way it's easier for you to kind of digest and understand. But before we installed the headlight relay harness onto the 1990 GT, with the car running, the low beam was drawing 13.4 amps, the high beam was drawing 16.8 amps, and then the low beam with fog lights was drawing 21.7 amps. And then the results from installing the 5.0 Resto headlight relay harness was the low beams were now drawing 6.8 amps, high beams were drawing 10.3, and then low with fogs was only drawing 15 amps. So a definite reduction in amp draw, which is much needed for any 87 and 93 car. It's also good to note that the amp draw on every single vehicle is going to be slightly different. That's pretty much a rundown. So now we'll jump over here to the 1990 GT. We're not doing a full install just because it really doesn't need one. It's plug and play. But we're basically going to tell you how we routed this and where each connection will be made. As far as installing the headlight relay harness, it's in your best interest to completely remove the front bumper. That way you have all the working room in the world. However, for those of you that don't feel like removing the front bumper, you can snake this headlight harness into place with it still on the car. Okay, so instead of boring you to death on kind of the monotony of the install, I think y'all are gonna get how this goes. So we'll start with the starter solenoid on the battery side. This is where the power is going to connect to on the aftermarket headlight relay harness. It's going to snake down underneath the battery tray. So we did remove the battery and the battery tray. It's very easy to do, and zip tied the relay harness onto an existing harness that runs that direction as well. Once it exits the front of the core support here, we mounted the relays to the longer bolt that's securing the fender support bracket to the core support itself. All we did was go to the bolt bin or the hardware bin, source the correct nut, and got those relays attached the way we wanted them to. I feel like a lot of you are gonna do the same because kind of the way the harness is designed to lay. Then the two extra connections here, you'll have the female, which is gonna go to the male connector. On the factory harness, this is what was connected to your headlight bulb. and then the new male connector is ready to plug in to the headlight once you get everything reinstalled. You'll snake your ground wire up through the core support and attach it to the existing ground at the top of the core support. From there, you're gonna go across the front of the car, just in front of the condenser. You'll snake the passenger side of the harness just below the top of the core support. If you have to remove the hold down bolt and kind of bring the power steering cooler tube forward a little bit, you can. That's exactly the way I did it. And there's an extra hole here that you can utilize a zip tie to keep the harness up and out of the way. And then over here on the passenger side, it's gonna be the same song and dance as the driver. You'll snake the ground wire up through the core support and attach it to the existing ground here at the top of the core support. Once it's all said and done, you can reinstall your battery tray and your battery. Don't connect the battery cables just yet. Install your headlight bulbs. You probably have to pull them out of your headlights. Get those ready to test. And then you can reconnect battery cables and then cycle through all of your functions. So headlight low, headlight high, and then headlight low with your fog lights. And if everything checks out the way it's supposed to, you can do any final tidy up here with your harness, you're good to go. All right, everybody, so wrapping things up. Again, just go ahead and buy this thing. Every car should have it. Shoot, we're probably gonna wind up putting it on every 87, 93 car we have in the warehouse. Very easy to install, as you saw. Everything's plug and play. If y'all find value in what we're doing, please consider liking the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. And then until we see you in the next one, for all things Fox Body Mustang, keep it right here at the Real Enthusiasts, LMR.com.